Hey guys, it's Becky, and I wanted to come on here right quick and do a little story time for you. I've lived in several haunted houses, and one of my favorites was an apartment. And I wanted to come on here and tell you about how I found out that we had a haunted apartment. And it was my first night there. Had moved in with my boyfriend at the time, and he worked nights, I worked days, so I came home. It was my first night alone in the apartment, and the way our apartment was set up, when you walked in the front door, you were in the living room, and then you walked down a little ways, and there was the kitchen. But the kitchen was like a I think there's a name for it, but I'm not sure what it's called. But it was like this. It was basically a hallway from the living room to the bedrooms, but the kitchen was along one side, and then the other side was just a wall with a closet on it. So it was lots of cabinets, lots of storage space. It was really great. I really enjoyed it. It was on the third floor, and so we had neighbors across the hallway from us, and then on the other side of us, and so you could hear them. But we were on the top floor, so we didn't have anybody above us, just the two on the sides. It was great. It was a nice apartment. It was an older apartment. It was built in the like the late '80s or something, and this was the early 2000s. So it wasn't as old as it is now, but I mean, they were nice apartments. We loved the managers and everything there. Anyway, it was my first night there alone, and the couch that we had, it was kind of, the back was to the kitchen, and it was kind of at an angle a little bit. So if you're sitting on the couch, you can't see the kitchen. You completely, I mean, if you're facing the other direction, if you're facing the proper way on a couch, you couldn't see the kitchen. So I was sitting there and I was watching TV, just kind of zoning out. I worked at a plant where I painted army trucks, taped them off, and made sure they got painted with the camo design. And so it had been a long day, rough day, and I was exhausted. And so I was just sitting there zoning out, watching TV, not really paying attention to what was on the TV, not really paying attention to anything around me. I was just kind of tired. And so after a few minutes, I realized there was a lot of noise behind me, and I kind of wrote it off at first to the neighbors next to us, because we just moved in. I didn't know them yet, and I didn't know how loud they were or anything like that. So I just kind of wrote it off. Oh, it's just the neighbors. And after a few minutes, I started paying attention, and you know when you barely open a cabinet and you let it slam close, it kind of bounces and makes that little dunk noise. So that's what I kept hearing, and I heard it a lot. And I was like, what is going on? What are they doing next door? They must be really cooking up something good back over there. And so then I started paying attention and realized it wasn't next door. That was right behind me. That noise was right behind me, and I'm the only one home because my boyfriend had gone to work. So I turned around and looked, and I didn't see anything, and I was like, maybe it was just the neighbors, maybe just hearing things. So I turned back around to the TV and started listening, and after a minute or so, I heard it again. So I got up and I went in the kitchen, and I opened all the cabinets, and I thought, well, let me just see, maybe if they're open. I don't know, I don't know what, this is my first night in this apartment, I don't know anything about it. So opened all the cabinets, went and sat back down and watched TV, and heard it again, and turned around, and half the cabinets are closed. So me, I don't scare easily, and I've lived in several haunted houses, not knowing that they were haunted until I moved in. But I mean, it's okay. I'm good with it. I don't scare easily. I mean, they're ghosts. Most of them are not gonna hurt you. They just want you to know that they're there. So so I went and closed all the rest of them because I didn't want to hear them bang. And then I just said, okay, I get it, you're here, but I'm tired. It's been a long day. So if you could please be quiet, and we can do this again another night, because I'm tired. Let me just rest. And that was it for that night. And a lot of things happened in that apartment. And when I said something to the management, they were like, no, nobody's ever said that place is haunted. So I don't know what it was, but we did eventually figure out that it was an old man, and he was just lonely, I guess. And nobody else, he had never done anything to anybody else, or that they reported anyway. And it was an apartment building, so there was really no way for me to find out who it was exactly. But he was really nice. He was friendly, and he would make his presence known every now and then. And really, just to me and my sister, he never bothered my boyfriend. He never bothered anybody else. None of the men that came in our apartment ever had anything happen to him. It was just basically me and my sister. So I'll tell you more stories on that if you want to hear them. But that was my first Thank you so much. Tell me what you think. Y'all have a blessed day.